Okay. Hi and welcome everyone to this class where we'll move through a gentle standing series. And in that standing series, it might be useful if it's hard to get your hands to the floor, your fingertips to the floor. You might want to have a couple of blocks if you have those at the top of your mat. And we're going to start in a seat today, so grab anything you want to sit on. I'm sitting on a blanket. And today's class will work on some oscillating movements to see if we can free up our connective tissue, our fascia. And we're going to start in a comfortable seat and begin with taking our left hand across to the outside of our right knee and our right hand behind us. And begin to circle into a twist. I just see some more folks coming on now. Welcome. And if you want, you can start to look behind you a little and see if that completes your twist a bit. How does that feel? And then look forwards again. And you can roll your chest forwards so your sternum comes forwards. And then look behind you and you might get the sense of your lungs wrapping around your spine into the twist. And look forwards. Let's do this a couple of times. We're looking behind and almost letting the eyes direct the twist. And look forwards. And just notice how your spine, abdomen, shoulders, neck get involved. And we'll do that one more time. You can add in your breath and go at your own pace with that. And then let's come forwards and reach we still have our left hand to the outside of the right knee. Reach your right arm forwards. And then lead your right hand behind you into a twist. And you can follow that hand with your eyes and then take it forwards. You might do this with your breath. So like inhale forwards, exhale, open up into that twist. And you might even be pushing into your left hand to help you twist and spiral around. Let's do that one more time. Forwards with the right hand and then back behind us. And then let's lean off that left hand and bring the right arm up and over, kind of hanging into a side bend. Take a breath there, in and out. And then the invitation is to cross your arms in front of you. So your right hand comes forwards, maybe reach to the left knee, and tuck your chin and round and feel into the mid-back. Breathe in. And out. And then we'll come on up, but keep the right hand to the outside of the left knee. And we'll take the left hand behind, so opposite of me, and start to move into that twist. And you can look forwards here. Rotate your lungs forwards, and then look behind you and rotate your lungs around your spine. And do this a few times. So look forwards, maybe relax the twist. And then as you look back, accentuate that twist through your spine and start to observe as you're moving through this excursion of movement through the spine. How does it feel in your abdomen? How does it feel in your chest, your shoulders, your neck? Let's do one more like that. And then take the left arm forwards. Reach it forwards. You might even lean forwards. And then take it back behind you, sweeping it into a twist. And you could pull on your right hand, on your left knee, and do that a few times. So reach forwards and then describe a big twist. And you might do this with your breath. And I'm noticing my right chest wants to be dropped more than my left. So I'm going to see if I can even that out a bit. Just check in with what you're noticing in this. Let's do that one more time and then circle that left arm up, out, and over. So you're hanging into a side stretch. Maybe you can still have a little grip on your left thigh or knee. And then you could take that hand across, you crisscross your arms, holding on to opposite knees, and curl in, tucking your chin. Breath in. Breath out. And then let's come up to a seat. If you need to switch the cross of your legs, go for that. And let's take our arms out to the sides and bend at the forearms. So it's like we have these little cactus arms or goalpost arms. And then from here, start to side bend a little to the right, and then come into the center and side bend a little to the left. And come into the center, and let's side bend to the right again, and this time stretch out through your arms. Your right hand comes down, your left hand comes up, and you might bend your bottom elbow a little and drop your right shoulder blade down your back and side stretch a little. And then come up through center and come back into that little cactus arm position. And as you come to the left, stretch out through your arms. It's like you're reaching through a thick liquid or something. And then maybe bend your bottom elbow and drag your shoulder blade down your back. And then up through the center, come into the center. And I know your shoulders might be getting a little tired, so you can give them a rest. Or you can start to find a little twist here. And maybe your eyes follow the twist, or you could try to keep your eyes centered and your head not moving if it's disorienting or makes you dizzy. Or you could let your head move with the twist. And let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come into center, reach the arms up, inhale. And then exhale, hands together, bringing them down through the center. Nice. Okay, let's come onto our hands and our knees. So you can move your sitting prop out of the way, come onto your hands and your knees. Maybe tuck your toes behind you and start to shift forwards and back. Finding this all fours position. Notice your breath. If there's any places around the circumference of your lower ribs where your breath is a little restricted, can you breathe into those sticky areas a bit, perhaps slowing down the breath? You might explore keeping your arms straight and leaning your shoulders a little over the line of your wrists. And we'll turn our hands out to the sides now and shift left and right, feeling into the wrist. It's almost like you're pushing your body from one hand to the other, catching that rebound. And then if you want, you can turn your fingers all the way towards your knees or somewhere along that circle, that trajectory, and again, shift a little forwards and back. If this feels like a lot of a stretch, you could walk your knees in, putting more weight in your knees, a little less in your hands. Now let's try to sit back in this position and start to peel the heel of the hand a little off, and then lift the thumbs if you can, and reach the thumbs out to the sides. You might even bend your elbows a little. And see if you can move the thumbs forwards and back for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then come up off of that. You can sit back on your tucked toes or come right up onto your knees. Maybe shake your hands. Take the backs of your hands together and try to circle them. So the wrists come together, and then the backs of the hands come together, and find a little circle there through your wrists. Opposite direction. So maybe you're still sitting on your tucked toes, which could be a lot of sensation. You can always come up off of your feet. But let's try taking our hands together, dropping the hands down so the elbows point out to the side, and then keep the knuckles under your fingers together and lift the heel of the hand away from each other, seeing if you can create that straight line as close to the line of the knuckles as you can. Sometimes you can go from bringing the index finger knuckle together to the pinky and then roll back and forth a bit. And how would it feel to flip this so that the palms face up and the fingers point down? Take a breath there. And then release that, and you can shake out your hands, come off of those tucked toes, maybe pitter-patter out the feet. And as you're ready, tuck the toes back and reach into a downward facing dog, pedaling out through your feet. And then we'll come back down onto the knees. And if you are wearing shorts like me, you might want to take a blanket underneath your knees, because we're going to sort of scrub the knees a little side to side here, so that's an option. And coming back up onto your all fours position, if your wrists get tired and tender, you can come down onto your forearms here. So then knees come right together, and we'll take the feet right together and pick them up and slide the feet to the left so they come off the mat, and the hips might swivel to the left, and then sink the hips back a little or a lot, and you can reach back like you're in a side extended child's form. And then let's come up from that, pick up the feet, it's like you have a fishtail, and take your feet over to the right, and then sink back a little or a lot. And you might bow your left side ribs out here. And you don't need to bring your hips right down to your heels, just as much as you like there. So you can come forwards, and we'll do a little shift side to side. So feet to the left, sink back, center, and feet to the right, and sink back. Now you can go as slowly through this, linger somewhere, or go a little quicker. You could even explore taking that, the long side armpit down to the floor. And notice what's the effect of that. Okay, next time you have your feet to the right, take your left foot forwards, okay? So that you are falling more into your right hand, and your left toes turn out to the left a little. And then take your left arm up and press into the floor with your right hand. Take a breath there. Some of you might want to block underneath your hand. That's a nice option too. And then let your head hang down towards your right hand, your bottom right hand. And here's an option. You can stay in this and explore it, or you can take your left fingertips to the floor, look down, and then back up into a twist and maybe rotate up towards the ceiling a little more. And you might do this with your breath. So exhale down, inhale up for 5, 4, 3, 2. And you can look down through this whole thing, and 1, or you can rotate your neck and look up. And then we'll take our both hands down to the floor, take the left knee back to meet the right, feet are over to the right. And then come through center and take your feet over to the left and sink back into that. Shift forwards and take your right foot out to the side. So the right toes, the right knee, point out to the right, and you kind of fall into the left hand. And you might want to give yourself some elevation. Right arm comes up. Take a breath there. That left shoulder blade, the bottom shoulder blade might tug down the back, and you could even let your head hang. So exploring this as much as you like, or you can oscillate, right hand down and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, pushing the floor away with that bottom hand, last one, 5, and then right hand comes down to the floor, right knee meets that left knee, you come back into that side child's form and pick up your feet and center them, and then take your feet over to the right, sink your hips back, shift forwards, and this time take your left leg and kick it back with your left toes pointed out to the left. You can tighten your kneecap there and place the foot on the floor like it's going into like a warrior 2 stance, the back foot. And again, you can elevate yourself if you like on that bottom block and come on up with your top arm. And you can stay here, you can explore that bottom shoulder blade, pulling down the back a bit, and stay there for a few breaths. Come on out of it if you need to, or you can twist. So left hand down, touch the floor, up, 1, 2. You might even resist. The right shoulder sometimes has a tendency to pop forward, so you might resist it back as you twist. 4 and 5, up and back, hands to the ground. Left knee meets the right knee, so you're in that side stretchy child's form. Up and through the center and swivel your knees and knees go to the right, feet go to the left. Sink back into that. Shift forwards, and we'll kick out the right leg. Maybe tighten the kneecap, turn those right toes out to the right, and plant the foot. And then perhaps you want a little bit of height, so you can go for that. Reach the right arm up. So you might linger here for a little less time than me, that's fine. Maybe you explore a longer lower back. You're always giving yourself permission to come in and out of things at your own time here. And an invitation is to drag that left shoulder blade down the back, and you could come into those 5 twisty motions. So fingers down, 1, maybe with the breath, 2, 3. Could be a little resistance on that bottom shoulder, so it's not popping forwards. And notice how that feels. Does it feel more stable? 4 and 5. Open up to your perfect spot there. And then hands come down to the mat. Both hands plant. Right knee meets the left. Can sink into that side child's form any amount. And then shift into the center. And we'll sit back a little towards the heels and come off the wrists a little bit. And then let's come forwards. We're gonna come through a downward facing dog. So if your blanket is there, you could step over it, little obstacle course, and to a forward fold at the top of the mat. So you could use your blocks or use your fingertips on the floor, hands on your shins, come on halfway up and fold in. 2 more times, halfway lift and fold. Could use your breath there. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to fold. Let's take an extra breath in and out at your own time, dangling in a forward fold at the top of the mat. And then shifting the weight to the heels. And your choice, either taking your arms out to the sides and coming up with a relatively long spine, or you can round your spine up if that's good for you. So open up, reach your arms up, maybe look up and release your arms down by your sides. Okay, let's circle our arms up. Reach and then fold forwards, maybe through a bent knee position. Hands find the blocks or they can find the floor. And we'll take our right foot back into a long lunge. So perhaps you fall into your right hand so that it's flat, because we're going to come into a bit of a twist here, or you could use your block on any height, and your left hand can come up onto your left knee. Option also is to take your right knee to the floor onto your blanket if it lands there. So either check out your twist. Is your right shoulder popping forwards? Can you pull it into the center of the joint? Maybe your left arm comes up and you explore that. Maybe you explore letting your head hang. And you could explore tapping down and opening up for one. Another option I like to play with here is tapping down and bending the elbow and pulling the elbow back, almost like you're pulling a bow and arrow, and explore that elbow pull. 3. And the right shoulder blade, that bottom shoulder blade, it could be pulling down the back a bit. 4 and 5. And then both hands to the floor to your blocks. Right knee comes down to the ground. Now we're gonna start to shift forwards and back. And when you shift back, you could let your left toes come on up off the ground. And if you've got blocks, sometimes that gives you a little more space in your hips, a little more room to play with. And by no means do you have to make your legs straight. Just go to that place where you feel that just right edge, that sticky space for you. Okay, let's shift back a little or a lot. I'm tucking my back toes under so I have a little bit of support there from my back foot. Walk your hands back a bit and keep your legs like relatively where they are, and start to turn your ribs. So it's almost like you're looking behind you, side stretching one side and shortening the other, and then to the other side. And you can keep your head in the center if it's better for your neck, or you can turn and look behind you. I always find this a useful thing. And let's go for 5. Maybe using your breath with that. 4, 3, 2, perhaps you're coming out of it before me, and 1. And then we'll walk it forwards and let the hips sink in. You can untuck your back toes. And you can stay still here, or you could let your hips slide a little left to right. So with all this oscillation, we're getting movement into all these areas. It's debatable whether you can rehydrate your tissues or not, but I like to imagine that that's happening. More flow, more liquid through the sticky areas. Or you might feel like stillness is more supportive for you today, so you could stay still. Okay, from here we're gonna start to shift back again. Those left toes pop up. You can tuck your back toe under. And here's the idea. Can we swivel our hips left and right? And our left leg might roll out as we let our hips go to the right. The toes might roll out, the knee might roll out. And it might roll in as we move our hips to the left. So you could always be up on your blocks to explore this. Hips, it's like you're wagging your tail. A little left and right for 5. And your chest and your spine might go side to side. 4, 3. So you can make these movements really as small or as big as you like. 2 and 1. And then let's shift forwards again. Allow for a couple breaths, letting the hips sink. Either continuing with movement, or you might be more motivated to be still here. Okay, and then we're gonna come to a standing forward fold again. So back toes tuck. You can lift up your back knees here in a low lunge. Use your blocks or not. Step that back foot forwards and fold. Let's do 3 folds. Halfway lift, perhaps inhale. Exhale and fold. 2 more, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Your way up to standing. I like to weight the heels. Circle the arms up, come on up. And release the arms. Whole thing on the other side. So arms out and up. And fold. Hands to the floor, hands to the blocks. Left foot back. And then we're gonna come into falling into the left hand. So it could be on the ground, it could be on a block if you have that. Right arm up. And of course you can lower your back knee here. Or you could keep it lifted and you could engage your back left glute and explore that elongation through the back leg. Maybe you're noticing if your left shoulder pops forwards and can you pull it back a little? And perhaps your right arm comes up. And perhaps you go for 5 twists. So touch the ground and come on up. Notice what you want to do with your breath here. Maybe you exhale as you go down and inhale as you open up, or you switch it. And maybe you pull your bow and arrow when you bend your elbow and pull your elbow up, and notice how that feels. Does it change it for you? 2 more. And both hands find the floor. We're gonna lower down that back knee and start to shift forwards and back. And you can always adjust your stance. Maybe your right toes are popping up. You can choose to be up on your blocks as well. Okay, let's sink back and choose your stance there. And then it's our hips stay fairly steady and it's our ribs that are sort of swiveling side to side. Sometimes I think about the rib area like an accordion and I'm stretching it out and pulling it together. For 5. You might look behind you. 4. 3. 2. And 1. And then we can start to shift forwards into that low lunge. Perhaps you untuck those back toes. Blocks are always an option underneath your hands. And as you sink forwards, you could either keep your hips steady, you could let your head hang, and option is to shift your hips left and right. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, here we're gonna come back again. You could tuck your back toes. Right toes could pop up, either up on your blocks or your fingertips on the floor. And then it's that kind of wagging of the tail movement where your hips move to the left and then to the right. And as your hips move to the left, your right foot, right knee, right hip might turn out from the midline. And as you turn your hips to the right, they might turn in. So you can explore that for 5. Come out when you need. Maybe you're checking out that just right edge for you. 3, 2, and 1. And then again, sink forwards. Let's allow for a couple breaths in this forwards low lunge. You can untuck your back toes if that feels freeing for your back knee. And from here, we're going to land on the abdomen. So you can take your hips back, maybe use your blocks under your hands to take your right foot back. Walk your knees back. Maybe you go through a knee plank and lower slowly to the ground. So you come onto your abdomen. Stack your hands out in front, let your head come towards your hands. And perhaps you feel your belly breathing into the ground. Watch a cycle of breath. Okay, and then we'll come on up a little. So, option here is to either take your chin or your forehead to the floor. So you can see what's better for you, chin or forehead. And then take your arms out to the sides in a T and pop up onto your fingertips so that there's a little bit of space underneath your palm. And whichever forehead or chin is better for you, press the front of your pelvis into the ground so you feel a little bit of strength happening in the backside. And then as you're ready, press into your fingers, lift your legs, straighten them, and lift your chest and come into a locust or a shalabhasana. Breathe in, come on up, and then exhale, come back down to the forehead or the chin. Press the pelvis down, inhale, come up. And as if there's a string at the top of your head and at your big toes, imagine you're getting pulled along, and then come on down. And we'll try that again. Press the pelvis down, the belly down, lift up. And if you like, you can lift up your arms a little. You're flying. And then come on back down. We'll do 2 more. If you like, lifting the arms. You can do this with breath. And then hands underneath your forehead again. And watch for a cycle of breath. Okay, we'll take our hands underneath our shoulders. And as you're ready, we're going to come to a standing forward fold. So you might pad your way through downward facing dog to bring you back up. And fold. Arms out and up. Come on up to standing and let your hands come down by your sides. We're going to do that whole sequence again, maybe a little bit quicker this time. So arms out and up and fold. You could use your blocks here or your fingertips to the floor. Right foot back into that long lunge and fall into your right hand. Maybe you use your block. Okay, left arm might come up and down 5 times. Or you could stay in that low lunge or stay in this open position. 1. Perhaps you pull your bow and arrow. 2. 3. Make it yours. Adjust as you need to. 2. And 1. Come on down. Back knee comes down. And you could use your blocks or your hands on the floor. Start to shift back and forwards. Back and forwards. Let's do 3 more. 3. 2. Find your own flow here. 1. And then shift the hips back with the back toes tucked under and swivel the ribs side to side with the hips relatively still. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shift forwards. Take a breath in and out. You could untuck your back toes. Shift back again. Up on your blocks or fingertips to the floor, wagging the tail left and right. Maybe the leg starts to move in and out. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shift it back forwards here. Now, option to stay down for a breath or walk up onto your knee. Maybe you will circle your arms up. You could take that cactus arm position, right? And then shift a little right, shift a little left, shift a little right and stretch out through your arms. Shift a little left and stretch out through your arms. Exhale, come on down, hands to the ground. Coming into a standing forward fold, so back toes tuck. Big step or couple of steps, top of the mat. Inhale, elongate your spine and fold. Weight in the heels, your choice to come on up. Come up to standing, so nice. Release your arms. Feel your contact with the ground as you reach your arms back up and fold. It's the left foot back, long lunge there, and falling into your left hand or finding a block and starting to come into your twist. Being aware of the bottom shoulder, you might take those oscillating movements or hang out in the open position. You might pull your bow and arrow for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and as you're ready, hands come down, back knee comes down, and you can use your blocks under your hands or not and start to shift forwards and back. 3, maybe your right toes come up. 2, and 1. And let's stay back this time. You could tuck your back toes and look over one shoulder and then the other, but let those ribs move side to side. Big accordion in your ribs. All that air inside the accordion. It's almost like the movement is squishing the air out. Undoing the wrinkles and the crinkles. 2, and 1. Shift it forwards here. Untuck your back toes, breath in and out. Nice, pull back, maybe you tuck your back toes. And the exploration, could be using your blocks or not if you have them, is to wag your tail, let your hips go left and right. Maybe the knee turns in as your hips go to the right. Maybe your knee turns out as your hips go to the left. 3, 2, and 1. Shift it back forwards. Either stay down, you can untuck your back toes. If you like, come on up. More of a crescent lunge, Anjaneyasana, your arms out in that cactus shape if you like. Little side bend to the right, little side bend to the left, little side bend to the right. Maybe stretch out your arms. Little side bend to the left, you could stretch out your arms. Center it out and come forwards. This time we're gonna come onto our abdomen. So as you're ready, right foot comes back and come down onto your abdomen. You can always move your blanket out of the way if you want, or keep it there. And stack your hands out in front and follow a breath in and out. Perhaps you feel your low back balloon with your in-breath. Locust or Shalabhasana. So you can take your fingertips out to the side, tenting the center of your palm up, So your shoulders are a little lifted and broad. And either taking your head to the floor or your chin, noticing which one gives you more feedback. Press your pelvis down, your abdomen down. And inhale, come up, get long. You might float your arms. And exhale down. 1. We'll go for 5. Back of the neck might be elongated. 2. 3. Perhaps you're inhaling on the way up. I like that. Opening up through the low back. Or you could try the opposite. 2. And 1. Stack your hands, let your forehead rest, or maybe one of your cheeks or temples, and follow a breath in and out. There's a possibility to feel the breath moving your low back. And if you can't feel anything there, that's totally fine. You might imagine it happening. Okay, we're going to land back on the abdomen. So you might come up a bit, and I'll invite you to fold up your blanket and take it underneath your head. Because for this one, we will turn our head to the right and take our left arm out, palm facing down, out from the shoulder as we come back onto the abdomen. So it'll look like this. So left hand out and left temple down onto the blanket. And then that might be enough sensation of stretch through the left chest. An option is to take your right hand, again, tent those fingertips to the ground, and press into it and roll onto your left hip. So you're in a side lying position. And for some of you, you could bend your top right leg and tap your tiptoes or maybe the whole foot to the ground behind you. And if this is a lot of sensation, but you want to explore it, you could come in and out of it. So you could come out and then come back in. Perhaps you stay in it. And for some people, if you're not feeling too much stretch, you can try taking that bottom left arm on a bit of a diagonal. So it's a little bit lifted, and see if that changes it for you. Let's follow a couple breaths there. How would it feel? Does it increase your sense of safety in this shape to push your left hand into the ground? Almost like you're sucking the bones of your left upper arm up away from the ground a fraction. Let's roll back down onto the abdomen. And invitation is to come onto the other side as you're ready. So right arm out. You can choose to have it straight out or a little up on a diagonal. Right temple down, left fingertips press. And take this to wherever you want to go. By no means do you have to come right onto the outside of your right hip. You could come just a little bit onto the side of the hip. For some, top left leg comes behind, tippy toes or full hand or full foot flat. And you can roll in and out of it as we've been doing, or stay a little. And this can be an intense stretch for some of us. So if you're bumping up into pain or there's a fear response, can you explore little movements that might increase your evidence of safety? So it could be putting some more tension in your body by pressing the right hand into the floor. It could be rolling in and out of it. It could be slowing down your breath and checking out if that shifts sensation. Could be softening tension in your neck, eyes, shoulders. How can you meet your edge and soften a little into it, using your own discernment of when you need to come out. All right, let's roll on out back onto the abdomen. And as you're ready, we'll explore this with a slightly different hand position. So this time we'll do that little cactus arm out to the side, left temple down, right hand might press, and explore a little bit of a rollover. Maybe it is just a little onto the side, bottom hip. Maybe you take that top foot behind, tap the tiptoe, where the sole of the foot comes flat. And you can also roll in and out of it. For many, this one is a little more intense, so check in. Am I going to be okay when I come out of this? If I go to the edge that I want to meet, and what would I have to change? So that answer is yes. You can explore lifting the elbow a little, lowering it. How does that change things for you? Let's take a breath in and out. You could press your elbow down into the ground. And roll on out. And as you're ready, other side. So some sort of a cactus arm, and perhaps you go right into the last one that we did as well with the arm more straight. So a little rollover. Maybe you're oscillating in and out or staying in that position. The top left leg could go behind, it doesn't have to. Exploring a pressure down through the right elbow. Can ask yourself, am I going to be okay tomorrow if I go to the edge that I want to go to here? And what would I have to do to make that answer yes? Exploring that just right edge of stretch. And slowly, as you're ready, come on out of that. And we're going to transition onto our back. So take your time to come onto your back for a spinal twist. Once you're on your back, can press into your feet. Here is a suggestion. Lift your hips and slide your hips, a lateral pelvic slide to the left, and let them fall down again. So now your hips are off center from your chest. You can open your arms, bring your knees in, and let your knees fall to the right. And there's a few options for twisting always. For some, you might want to have a block in between your knees. For some, you might want to crisscross your left knee over your right and let your feet catch you. For some, you might want to hold on to your left knee, straighten out your bottom leg. So lots of options here to explore. Are you noticing that your shoulders want to curl forwards and away from the floor? And how would it feel to let them move up, back, and down? Breath in and out. If your bottom leg's elongated there, you could draw it in. And then as if there's a string behind your belly button, you can pull that string back to your spine and turn your belly button up towards the ceiling. to help you come out of the twist. Not that you need help, but sometimes that can be a nice controlled way to come out. As you press down into your feet, lift your hips, shift them into the center, and then that lateral slide to the right, and drop your hips down, and knees come in. So choose that twist that you did, or you can always do something different for sure. On the other side, you could crisscross your right leg on top. You could put a block in between your knees. You could straighten out that bottom left leg. Perhaps you're noticing that your body temperature is dropping, and if it is, you're welcome to grab an extra layer, put on your socks, your beanie, your toque, your blanket. Do those shoulders want to creep up, or can you lift them up, back, and down, feeling the residue of that chest stretch? Nice. All right. So again, you can imagine that your belly button has that string. Pull it back. Turn your belly button to the center. Notice if that shifts anything for you as you come out of the twist. Center yourself out. And options again. So if you want to lie out into Savasana, you could let your legs move out into an elongated, fully supine position, and you might heel rock, like as we've been oscillating through this practice. You can bob your toes up and down and maybe close your eyes and notice if your whole system is sort of rebounding. Can you feel it all the way into your head? And if it's more accessible to you, you could also plant your feet and press your heels into the ground. And you might be able to access that rebound through the whole system there. And let's explore that if you're doing that for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you could stop, you could keep going. You could put a blanket over yourself, and we'll close our practice. I'm just going to come up to a seat for some people. You might want to come up to a seat in meditative position, or stay on your back for the last few minutes we have together. And you're welcome to close your eyes, take a couple breaths, exhale them out of your mouth. And there's a possibility that a lot of your attention was inside your body in this practice. Can you open up to connecting to the space outside of your body now? So you might hear sounds, smells, you might notice smells, the texture of the air on your skin, your relationship to things. Lately, I've been orienting to the 4 directions as I lay in a relaxation or sit. Where is north, south, east, and west? Ground below you, sky above. You might even know where a mountain you love is. or a river or a valley or the sunrise. Feeling your relationship to things. If a land acknowledgement is in your practice, you might say that now internally. If gratitude is in your practice, you might explore that internally.